Hi, good evening, everyone. Hey, Avinash. Hey, Rishi. Is my audio and video okay? Hi, Prashit. Is my audio and video okay? Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So, we are going to create a very common website today, the backend of the very common website called e-commerce project, right? What are some examples of e-commerce that we use in our daily life? Maybe Flipkart, maybe Amazon, or maybe Nika, right? So I just want you guys to create your own e-commerce website after today's lecture, right? That would be your THA for today, right? Let's dig in into e-commerce product description. So there would be a user. How many type of users can be there? There can be an admin user who is in control of the whole website. That would be you if you're creating it, right? There would be a lister and there would be a buyer, right? Admin is the person who is in control of the code, who is in control of the whole website. He can do whatever he wants, right? He can delete a comment, he can delete a product, he can do whatever he wants in the website. A lister is somebody, or a seller is somebody who is trying to sell his product on your website. For example, if this is a toys website, there is a website for toys, right? We have a seller which have been selling toys offline. Now he wants to take his business online, right? He comes to Amazon, he lists his products, right? Uh, Product would have an image, it would have a name, it would have a price tag, it would have number of quantities which is available, right? What else? It would have a description. Okay, a buyer comes and check the listing and place an order. In placing an order, he can either add to cart and forgets about it, right? Or he can add to cart and then place the order actually, right? I hope there are no doubts still here. Yes. So we are going to create, uh, there are three things that we found out. There is users, there are products, right? Four things actually. We have a cart and we have an order. Did we came up with this conclusion that we have four things in this? Yes, a user, some products, cart, and orders, right? In users, we are going to have just two things. One is admin and one is buyer. Okay. We are going to have just two roles, admin and buyer, right? I am assuming that you are a person who is selling the toys and want to sell them on your own website. Okay. There is no seller. In your THA, you would create a seller as well. Okay. Now the admin, whenever the month ends, on month end, you would like to know how much you earned, right? Seller is under admin, yes. On month end, you would like to know your income. So we will create a, API to generate your income as well, right? What is an income? How do we create? How do we check it monthly? We basically checks it on the orders, right? So all the orders that we have, we start it from month start till today or month end, right? The first check is you have to get it from the month start to month end. You have to find out all the products, all the orders that have happened from month start to month end, right? And then you will have to club them together to find out how much, what was the sum of all the prices, sum of all the prices for this, right? To do this task, we have something called aggregation in MongoDB, which basically means clubbing, right? We will learn about aggregation also today. But just learn right now that aggregation is in such cases where you have to have the clubbing of something, right? Here you want the clubbing of the prices from month start to month end. So you are going to use aggregation. In Mongo, we call it Mongo aggregation. Understood what aggregation means? Yes, aggregation means clubbing. Whenever you want to have clubbing, you use aggregation, right? One topic also I want you guys to know or know it on your own time is population or Mongo population, right? Population is a very popular term in all the databases. See, database in itself is very powerful, right? If you know database very well now, half of the logics that you write in your logic, right? That can be handled on the DB itself. And it is very important that you do it in the DB itself. So that if some hacker has the access of your database, even then he cannot do anything, right? Now, population is your THA also. I'm not going to touch on MongoDB population, but I'm just giving you a hint what population is. So, for example, in user, we have in our previous examples also we have uh, products which was an array of IDs, right? Remember, in user we had some products or orders which was the collection of IDs. Now, these IDs were a foreign key to a different table called products, right? There was a different table called products. These IDs belong to that specific row. So if there is a table, this is ID1, this is ID2, this is ID3. And we had the reference of these rows over here. Remember? In population, we have MongoDB.populate. What it does is, if suppose you want products data along with the users, right? So you use MongoDB.populate, Mongo.populate. What it does is, in user, it is basically an object, right? Inside which we have products, which is an array of objects. In place of IDs, they replace with the row data. So in place of IDs, you have the whole row data. So products, for example, product name, product price, product description, for that is specific row. Okay. Similarly for others. So what it does is it replaces your IDs with the row data. Okay. And in a single database call, you get the whole thing together. This seems helpful, right? Whenever you want the whole data together. For example, you want to show all the product details for a specific user, right? So you populate the products which are inside the users. MongoDB.populate replaces the IDs with the row data. Understood what population means? It populates the row data inside your key. This would be your THA. Learn about MongoDB.populate. This is very important topic. Okay, can we switch to code now? Everybody understood what we are going to create today, what is happening, things like those? Yes. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Uh, One more thing we are going to do today. It is a very small thing. We are going to have pagination also, right? And filtration. We will touch that wherever it comes. It is just a one line thing. Okay. Now let's head to your code. Let me close this. Let me close this as well. App crash. Forget about it. Right. Let me create a new folder for today. mkdir make directory for row 20 for day 20. Right. Let's get to day 20 and do npm init -y. Right. We have our package JSON. Right. What we are going to install in our packages. We are going to have npm install. We are going to use bcrypt as usual. We are going to use cors as usual. Uh, Let us also take, forget about it, .env as usual, express as usual, JSON web token also as usual, right? We are going to use Mongo today, so mongoose, right? Uh, and stripe. Let's install it and open it in our VS Code. Day 20. Right. Now let's create our starting point, our index.js. One second. Let's have our express application. Constant express is equal to require express. Constant app is equal to express. Right. Let's have mongoose also over here. Mongoose from require mongoose, right? Dot env equal to require dot env, right? Let us also create a .env file and put a port over here. Let's call it 1338, or let's change that today. Let's call it 5000. Right. Now what do we want to do? We want to have .env.config so that it start reading, it is reading .env file, right? We will have our middlewares app.use course, right? And app.use express.json to accept JSONs, right? And start listening to process.env dot port or 5000. Acha, you guys understand about this or not? Are you guys aware of uh, why we write and this and or over here? Okay. Uh, so what happens is, suppose we have A and B. Okay. And means if both of them are yes or both of them are true, then only it is true, right? So if A is false, it stops checking for B, right? If A is false, it won't check for B. So whenever we write, suppose we have an object and we want to get a key from it. For example, if suppose this config does not exist on .env, okay, to fail proof our code, we write it like this: .env and .env.config. Okay, so what happens is if this is undefined for JavaScript is false. Okay, so if this is undefined, it won't call .config uh, function. Okay, so it won't call the .config function, which does not exist on .env. If it does not exist on .env, and our code will not break. Okay, in our latest JavaScript, this has been replaced with question mark. Okay, this question mark dot basically turns up to this code, right? Now, what is the or condition means? Or condition means if either is true, then it is true, right? So if this is undefined, it gives up the value of this. For example, if I forgot to create a .env folder file, right, and this is undefined, so it takes up the value of this one, right? Now, every time, so this was an example of dot operator, right? But this or and can be used at every place. Inside if, inside anything, you have to make your code fail proof. Understood? Not at every place you would be able to use question mark or double question mark, right? It is also replaced with double question mark now. But this is a very latest thing. This was not there in before ES5. or ES6. Okay, this is a short way of writing a bigger if condition or switch case or things like this. Okay, now let's connect our database. For database, we need to have the config folder. Okay, one more thing I wanted to touch today is model views and controllers. Let me get back over here. Okay, there is something called a system design. Okay, system design means what is a system? What is a system? System is your whole application, right? A system is your whole app, the Express app that you're creating. And system design means the way that you structure your app is the system design. Okay. For example, if you have to create a list, if you have to create a list, suppose you have the title, right? Inside that you use bullets, right? So either you can start with a dot, bullet one. Inside that there are 3 points. How do we differentiate between the main bullet and the sub bullets? We create a different bullet. Correct. Say A, B, C. Then there is bullet 2. Inside that we have, let's say, D. And inside D also there are 2 points. Say pi and epsilon. Okay. Why do we have these different type of bullets? Can anybody tell me why do we have different types of bullets? Why are we having some spaces over here, then over here? Why do we have this? Can anyone of you tell me? Firstly, it is readability, and the second is context. Okay? By defining different type of bullets and spacing, we are improving our readability, right? The indentation and all the other things is for having a clear context of differentiation, right? So it specifically differentiates that this A is a sub of bullet 1 and this pi is a sub of D, right? So we have two things, readability and context. To have better readability and to have better context, we do this thing, right? Similarly, in our Express application, to improve readability and to have better context, we have something called system design. There are many type of system designs. Okay, the most famous in any of the programming language is called model views and controllers. You may have learned this in your engineering also. Have you? Sorry. Models, views, and controllers. These are nothing, these are just folder names, right? Whenever we say models, we are assuming all the models are inside this, right? For example, user model, for example, product model, for example, orders models. Whenever we are saying views, we are assuming these are for the UI things, all the EJS files, all the HTML files. Whenever we are saying controllers, we are assuming all the logic is inside this, right? For example, say auth, all the authentication logic is inside auth.js. All the product related logic is inside product.js, right? And then we have more folders. For example, routes. Routes is, for example, if you are using sign up and sign in, na, you simply create a route over here. Router dot post, and you call in auth.js inside this. You call in the auth function inside this. You pass in the auth function inside this. All the logic is inside controllers. It is just called in routes. So that routes only have the logic for routes, right? What else? We have middlewares. These are all folder names, right? But they improve the readability and they improve the context if somebody else is reading your code. Okay, what are middlewares? Middlewares are simply functions which are called before the actual function happens, right? So we write all the middlewares. For example, if is admin middleware, is authenticated middleware. Okay, so remember this. You have to divide and conquer. Okay, your files, your functions, your folders should have a specific job in hand. Okay, all the other functions goes to utils, right? Which cannot be a middleware, a route, a controller, a view, or model. All goes to utils folder. Okay, these are the utility folders, utility files, which we use. For example, for multiplication of a very large number. Understanding my point? All your functions, all your files, all your folders should have a specific purpose in life, as well as you. Right? Helper functions, util functions, whatever you want to call it. But always remember to have divide and conquer. Some of the codes that I saw in one single file, they had nearly 1,000 lines, right? And they have put everything in that. It is very difficult to read 1,000 lines. Even if I have 10 years of experience, I don't have time, I don't have patience to read 1,000 line of code and just to understand what you're trying to do. If you have simply divided it into multiple files and folders, I would have context. Okay, I would have a state of mind that, okay, you are defining a model, you are defining a viewer, you're defining a controller, you are defining a route, you're defining a middleware, or you have a specific utility file. Understood? So now are you going to create different folders or not? Keep this in mind. Your file, any specific file should not be more than 50 to, let's say at max to max 80 lines. If it is exceeding 80 lines, then you can surely divide it into multiple files. Okay. Now, coming back to code. Inside this, let's have db.js and set up our mongoose over here. Constant connect db equal to async function. Inside that, whenever we have an async function, we always have try and catch. Always remember that. Let's just console dot error, the error that we are getting, right? And wait for MongoDB connection to complete. Whenever you guys see some spelling mistakes that I do, please do let me know. Process.env.mongo URI. In Mongo URI, let's put it MongoDB : localhost 27017 slash, let's call it e-commerce. Okay. Uh, Let me just check if the MongoDB URI is correct or not. Okay, I don't have any folder. Anyways, okay, we have our connect DB. Let us export this. And import it back to your index.js. Require it from /config/db. Okay, and call this connect db over here. Right, now we have to create our routes. See, it can go above 80 lines, that is true, Sumit, but it is much more preferable if it is less than 80 lines. If you can divide it, that is very good, but all these are subjective things. Okay? These are not very hard set rules. If we have different DB in different environment, how should we write? Okay. Okay, I teach you that also. I'm using MongoDB right now. Shubham. Okay. So there is also a concept of environments. I tell you that as well. Thank you for pointing it out. There is something called environments. Now, what happens is, I hope my audio is okay, right? Right. There is something called environments. Now, what happens is, any of your product, right? If you are, suppose, what product you want to create? Tell me that. Give me one example. Any product. Is there anything that you want to create? You have something in mind? Let's say this e-commerce app only. Let's say this e-commerce app only. Okay. Now this e-commerce app, before it goes directly to the customer, na, it has to go through multiple checks to be sure that we are delivering a very good product, right? Because if your customer do not likes it, your company will never be in progress, right? So suppose I am creating this e-commerce website. This is point A where I am in development phase, and this is the last point which the user is seeing. Okay. Now a developer is developing it. Okay. How do we know that it is meeting all the criteria? There are 50 developers in a company, right? Your uh, owner of the company had something in mind. For example, he want to implement a Stripe payment, right? He asked the developer that I want people, I want users to be able to make payments. Okay, developer gets it. Okay, he says, okay, if you want to implement payment, I am using Stripe. Now he implemented Stripe, but he had some specific things in mind, right? Whatever the basic thing Stripe is giving, he implemented that. If this directly goes to user, and suppose user is in a different country, he implemented it for India, and the user is in USA. Now user is saying that sitting in USA that I am not able to make the payment. Fix this. Now you are losing a user. Understand this, because if user is facing some issue, he will throw your app, he will switch to another app, because the same service that you are providing, hundred of other companies are also providing the same thing. To solve this, we have introduced a layer of testing. Okay. Now, whenever a developer implements Stripe, it goes to the testers. There is a testing team in your company. It goes to testing, right? Now, testing itself can see that, okay, uh, you have implemented it only for India. We have some customers in USA, so it won't work. It rolls back to the developer to implement USA payment as well. That the user is able to make payments in dollars, right? Now, this is again not what your CEO had in mind, because he thought that he's going to make South Africa, say Africa, be a part of our platform, right? Even the testing team did not know. So we implemented another layer for this, where the product managers or the product owners have a clear view, right? Because this is the hierarchy. You have the owners, the CEO, the CTO, the CFOs, all those comes in owners, right? Under them, we have product owners. They are responsible for the product. Anything anything fails, your product owners get the blame first, right? Then we have testers, and then we have developers. This is the lowest of the hierarchy. If your owner has something in mind, for example, you want to make Africa a part of our product, he will tell the product owners. Product owners will deliver this to testers and developers, right? The product owners themselves exactly know what the owners requires, right? So we have different phases. First, it comes down to you that whatever you think is the best for the product, you implement it. Then it goes to testers. Testers test whatever you have implemented and whether it is as per the requirement or not. If it is not as per the requirement, it rolls back to the developer to implement that specific thing. When it is passed from testing, it goes to the product owners. And after product owners, sometimes in some companies it goes to owner or it goes to users directly. Okay, understood this point? You develop, then there is a testing team which tests, then there are product owners which understand the user requirement, what this feature was for, and whether it has been built perfectly or not, and then it goes to users so that there is no point of failure, right? For each one of them, for each one of them, for example, if this is an e-commerce platform and you are developing, right? You want to test the product listing API. You have your SOC photo with title, detail, description, everything. You put your SOC photo just to test whether the API is working or not, right? Testing team uploads their dog photo just to test whether the API is working or not. Product team has some random thing, right? For example, a bolt. They uploaded a bolt photo. Would your owners be happy to see a sock photo, a dog photo, and a bolt photo uploaded on your website? Tell me this. He won't, right? He won't be happy to see a sock photo, a dog photo, or a bolt photo uploaded on their website, which he has, or a user. If he finds a dog photo, a sock photo, or a bolt photo, he will lose the trust on the website itself, right? To handle these, we have different environments. We have a local environment, which we are working right now. We have a testing environment. We have before production environment. It is very close to production, but it is before production. This is called pre-prod environment, and then the user, what he use is called a prod environment. Okay, so your local environment is for developers, your testing environment is for testers, your pre-prod environment is for product owners and owners, your prod environment is for your users. Getting this point? So now Your developers have their own environment, testers have their own environment, products have their own environment, and users have their own environment. They all have a copy of your entire application. So in place of creating one single server, you are creating four different servers. And you have a copy of the same thing at four different places. Okay? So that testers can do whatever they want, product owners can do whatever they want, and it is not affecting the users itself. Right? Are you guys getting the concept of environments? Is this understood? Can we move ahead? Is this understood? The four environments that we talked about? Yes? Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So now comes the question, how do we differentiate or create a separate uh, this thing, separate uh, configurations for all of them? One way is creating env files that we talked about. There would be a different env file, there would be a different env file, there would be a different env file, this would have different env files, right? In If we are creating an env file, then we are simply creating servers, four different servers. That would increase the costing. Are you guys understanding or following? Right? There would be four different servers that we are creating. All of them have their individual env files in which all the configuration is written. Right? If suppose you want to share, uh, you want to push the configurations to a repository so that it is easily switchable. So you create four different environment files. We call it environment.local, environment.test, environment.preprod, and environment.prod. Okay. And whenever we are on any such server, whenever we are deploying to any such server, either with CI, continuous integration, or manually, or using a script, we whatever is there in your these files, we copy it inside your env files. Okay, so there would be four servers, right? So for example, if my website name is amazon.com, so there would be a local dot amazon.com, there would be a test dot amazon.com, there would be a preprod dot amazon.com, and there would be an amazon.com. Okay, in this local we will write the URL, the base URL, as this: local.amazon, test.amazon, preprod.amazon, and prod.amazon, or just Amazon. Okay, all the rest of the things remain the same. So if suppose you are creating for signup, so it would call local.amazon.com slash API slash v1 slash user slash signup. If suppose uh, we are making a call to test.amazon.com, we would say test.amazon.com slash API slash v1 slash user slash signup. If we have pre-prod, so preprod.amazon.com slash API v1 user signup. Okay, so these things remain same. That is why we have separation of concerns. Just the base URL, if we make a difference, right? They would all be making API calls to different servers, and we could uh, simply point the rest of the things as same. And we can also add cores in your prod so that none of these can make an API call to the prod. So you are fail proof. Got it? So here we can have dot env dot local. We can have this port and Mongo URI, and whenever a person is doing this npm start, we can have this start script over here. We can write copy your env dot local to your env and then do node index.js. Okay, so whenever a person is starting your server, npm start, it automatically copies your local or test or whatever and put it inside .env file and then start your server. Similarly, we can have different things for test, start as test, then we can write the same thing, oh, just like this. Cool, understood? So in place of npm start, now we have to write npm run start colon test. So it will copy content from test.env into a file called .env and then do node index.js. We can have a different .env dot test, and we can have a different port for test. Right. For let's say it is 1338 and it has a different Mongo URI. Rather than 27017, let's say it is running on some other port, things like those. I hope this is understandable. Yes? Coming back. Awesome. Awesome. Coming back, let's create our controllers first, just to show how controllers look like. I made too many spelling mistakes. Sorry for that. Right. Let's have auth.js controller. Inside this, we are going to use user that we are going to create in models. So I'm just requiring it beforehand. Require it from dot slash models model slash user. Right. And uh, let's say you have to register. So you will do exports dot register equal to async your request and response, and you will write all the register logic over here. Right. I am not going too details into this because we have created registration too many times now. So I'm just going to save it inside user. Your username from request dot body dot username, right? email from request.body.email, your password from bcrypt. Let me import bcrypt also. bcrypt.hash, your request.body.password. Okay, with salt or rounds equal to 10. Right, we have already done too many times all these things, so I'm not going into too details. Now try and catch. Right, save user equal to await new user dot save, and response dot status 201 dot json saved user. Right, suppose now you have to log in. You will write exports dot login over here. Again async, you will have request and response. Right, try user dot find one. You will get the username in request dot body dot username. Right, now if you write catch with e, return the same thing. Either you can write an if condition, or you can write it like this: if there is no user, then do response dot status as 404 dot json with the message user not found. Right, this is an alternative of if condition. Okay, input your password from request dot body dot password. Right, get the original password. You can also write like this: await bcrypt dot compare both these passwords, your input password and the password you are getting from user.password. Okay, compare them. If original password is not equal to input password, then do response dot status 401 dot json wrong password. Right? Are you guys seeing the usage of and over here? Are you guys seeing the usage of and over here? It is replacing your if conditions. If your senior developers want to show off their code, then they are always going to write it like this. They are not going to use if. We developers are a lazy breed. Even if we can not write two characters, we are going to use that. Okay. If you search many GitHub repositories like me, in most of the repositories, you won't find an if condition or a switch condition. They always write it with and or things like those. Okay. Remember, we developers are show off. We developers are lazy. Now, access token jwt dot sign user dot underscore id is admin, user dot is admin, right? With some secret. uh, let's just have some secret text over here and put our expiration date expires in. Actually, you can also write this expires in say suppose 3 days you want to write. So you write 3D over here. For 4 days it would be 40. For 5 days it would be 5D. Okay. Again, laziness. This means a spread operation. Okay. And this means I am getting password and other things as an object from user dot underscore doc. I am getting password and this password becomes a variable now. We have a const. This means that we are creating a constant with the name of password, right? Which is whose value is coming from this. And we have other things. Okay. So I'm just in this example, I'm just telling you how to write cool code. This is also a very important thing. Otherwise, how would you differentiate between a person who has never coded before to a person who is very experienced? Okay, we experienced people like to write cool codes. Hey web dev, Okay, I hope you get this line. We are destructuring password and other things from user dot underscore doc. This underscore doc comes from MongoDB. Don't get confused with this. Right. You are getting password and other things from user doc. The variable name is also password. We are passing it with to your uh, back to the client. Okay. Your access token is over here. Now let's have card.js. Now suppose let me show you how to use this inside your routes. In routes, let's have auth.js. Hmm. Let's have a router over here. Express dot router. Okay. We are going to need user. Actually, we should not be needing user. We just need auth controller. Auth controller from dot dot slash controllers slash auth. Okay. And we are going to have a router dot post for register or sign up. And simply we are going to write auth controller dot register. Similarly, we are going to have for sign in or login, and we are going to have login from this. Okay, now see, your routes only have the routes. All the logic is there in the controllers. Okay, you have exported two things, login and register. You pass that function itself over here. Now is this code becomes much more readable than before? Line number 47, 48. We are destructuring, we are getting password and other things from this. We do not want to send password back to the client. So we are removing password and sending other things and the access token back to client. Okay, Yogesh, we do not want to send password back to the client. So we are removing password and sending other things to the client. Okay, awesome. Now see, your routes only have routes. All the logics moved to controller. Even you can, if see, this is under 80 lines, right? So I can create this. Otherwise, I could have different files for register. I could have different file for login and things like those. Okay. The only motive is to make your code readable, to have as many comments as possible. I'm not using comments over here because of lack of time, but I've already told you Swagger documentation, right? To so have as many comments as possible to show that what you are going to do, you have already thought everything beforehand. Okay. So in a good code, you have all these fancy things. For example, async await, destructuring, uh, three dots, right? What do we call this? I forget the name. And things like those. Okay. So start writing good code. The main motive is this. Okay, now let's have our models. We will wait here for 1 minute. Please put down your comments or questions that you have. REST operator, yes, thank you. This is REST operator. Okay. I'm waiting here. I will wait here for 1 minute. I'm coming back. By the time, put down your questions if you have. I am back. You guys have no questions? My audio is okay, right? My audio is okay? We are live, right? Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, okay. Let's move to our next topic. Okay, let's have the order controller. Let's have the order.js. Hmm. So this will require an order model from model slash order. Okay. See, you know about get post put delete, right? You will be able to create, find and update, delete. Correct. I want to touch upon first the aggregation that I was talking about. Exports dot get monthly income. Okay, we have our request and response. Now let's have the date. This will have our current date. Okay, to have the last month, we will have to do something like this. We are going to set the month, right? There is a function called set month where we are going to say date dot get month minus one, right? This will give us the last month, right? Now, if we want the full string, we just have to wrap this inside a new date again. So this will give us the same time of last month. Okay, new date, last month. Uh, wait. Let's do like this. New date again, right? New date dot set month, last month dot get month minus one. Hmm. So we will have whatever we have earned in last 2 months, right? Excluding this month, we will have whatever we have earned in between last month and the previous month. So for that, we have something like this. For last month, we will have new date, then your current date dot set month, whatever is the current month minus one, right? So this will give us December. Now to get November, we will have to write new date, then due date, the current dot set month, the last month dot get month minus one. This is a function. Understood this? Now let's have a try catch. And if there is an error, response.status 500 dot JSON the error. Okay. Now to calculate the income, I said we are going to use MongoDB aggregate. So we will write order dot aggregate. It accepts an array of objects. Okay. The first one is how to find whatever you're trying to find. Okay. So we will write $match where this condition is true. Your created at is greater than or equal to your previous month. Okay. This is the find condition. This is the find condition. Now we have dollar project. This tells us uh, just like we have dot then, right? This is the first dot then, and treat it like this. Okay. So we found something, then we have the dot then. Whatever we put in dollar project, it is going to pass to the next pipeline, what we are creating over here. Okay, so this is the first dot then. Dollar project is the first dot then. whatever we are getting the result at created at, I am putting it in a variable called $month. Okay, and I require sales from that month, and I am will be getting it from amount variable. Okay, putting it to sales. Whatever I am getting it create at from this, I am putting it in the month key, and whatever the amount I am getting, I am putting into sales key. Okay, now I have to group them together. Okay, with $ID as the month and total would be coming from sum of all the sales. Okay, this is what aggregate looks like. And when I get the sum of all the sales, I simply return it back. Response.status 200.json income. Okay, first of all, I have to aggregate on the given month. Okay, wherever I have greater than equal to last month, I'm going to fetch all that data from MongoDB. Then I will create two variables for month and for sales. Month I would be getting from creator at, and sales would be inside amount. Okay, this is inside our model. Then I will group them together and create this object ID and total. This total would be the sum of all the sales, which is the amount. Are you guys understanding how aggregation works? Did you guys understood how aggregation works? I am going to have a clubbed value, right? This is, have you used array.reduce? Have you guys used array.reduce? Yes, this is very similar to that. This is very similar to that. Yes, map, filter, reduce. There are three functions, right? Reduce, what it does, it gives you a resultant. Correct. So treat it like reduce. But whenever you are using array.reduce, you already have an array. In this case, you have to find it first. You have to cut the chunk or use splice, array.splice first to get the array on which you want to work on. So it accepts an array of objects where first you find what is the array.splice you are working on. Okay, so here you write $match wherever the created at. This is a key in the database. Let me have the model also. Wait, order.js. Uh, this order, let me show you like this. This order will have a created at key, right? Sometime. This will have a amount key inside this of type number, say 10, and this will have other things. Right. Now what I want to do is I want to splice in an array all the objects whose time or created at is greater than last month. So I have written this for it, right? Match all, match and split or splice an array of object where created at is greater than last month. This much you understood, Yogesh? If you want to have less than also, so you write less than equal to or less than over here, right? You have some condition over here if you want to have multiple conditions, right? And we have dollar in, dollar and similar to those. Okay. Now we spliced out the array, we found out the chunk of the array on which we are going to work. Okay. Suppose that is coming from a promise. Then we require a dot then, correct or not? So this is the first dot then. Then we want to only select few elements of that. So this order is also going to have status, right? This is going to have address. Are these keys valuable for us at that point? No, right? I don't want to use these keys. So I just want to use these things. So I am again picking up, right? So this project is basically dot then, where I am creating two new keys, month and sales. The month will be the created at that we are getting from above. Okay, and sales, this is basically constant month and constant sales. A dollar sign gets attached to them in Mongo. Okay, so I'm creating two new variables whose value is this create at, this should be created at, and amount, which was there over here. Okay, these are the two things that I require only. Right. When I picked only these two keys, now what I want to do is I want to group them together. Right. I need to create an ID. Here I created a variable. Now I want to use it. So MongoDB, what it does is it attaches a dollar sign before this. So to use this, just like pointers you have learned in C, right? To use a pointer, you have to put an asterisk before it, right? Just like that in MongoDB, you have to put a dollar sign to use a variable. So I have two things, month and sales. I put month as the ID and I want to sum all the sales that I am getting. Okay, month would be same, month would be one only because I'm just picking up 1 or 2 month, right? And I want to put the sum of all the sales in the total key, right? So this concludes your reduce. This concludes your order.aggregate. Whatever the result you have over here would be read back into income and we would send it back to whoever is calling it. Understood? Yogesh understood it. K2, others, did you guys understand now? Aggregate? Let me create model schema very quick for you. Yes, awesome. Aggregate and populate. Populate is very straightforward. Populate, you won't even need my help. Aggregate was something that you would require my help. So I took it aggregate. Please learn populate. If you have any doubts, please let me know. Let me create order schema for you. Line number 17. Acha, this is just a way of writing. This is just a way of writing, nothing else. Month would have multiple months. So your month will have a dollar month, whatever the value is, it will come over here. It is just a way of writing. Forget about this. Don't get too confused. Wherever you simply just Google MongoDB populate, you will find tons of websites which will tell you how to populate. It will have a user ID of type, let's say, string. Required would be true. It will have multiple products, right? Which will have some product ID, which will be of type mongoose dot schema dot types dot object ID. Reference of this would be product, right? This will have an amount which we are using in aggregate. This amount would be of type number and required true. Okay, it will have an address of type string and required true. One thing more I want to tell you. Suppose there is something called status, right? Now you want to restrict the values of status to some specific things. Okay, so that only those specific things goes to database, not anything goes to database, even if you put the type as a string. Okay, first of all, you have a key called trim. That means it deletes all the spaces before and after the actual string, right? So suppose you only want some specific values to be present inside this status. So you have something called enum. Inside enum, you write the values and you tell them exactly what values it can accept. So it can accept only pending, complete, and cancelled. This helps in your logic. Okay, that okay, you have created this model. You are aware that this can only accept these three status, and you can work accordingly. If you left this as a string only, then you won't have the control of what exactly statuses would be. And this status, you are going to make many operations on status, right? So suppose if the status is pending, what to do? If the status is complete, what to do? If status is cancelled, what to do? Things like those. So sometimes you want to restrict the values that can be saved inside some keys. So you have to use enums for that. Okay. You can also put the default value like this. Okay. And say suppose you have required. Okay. Required also take an array. First, what is the value of required and the error that needs to be given if this value is not present. Okay. See how good a database is. You can define the error code itself over here. You can define what values it can take over here. You can define the default values over here, right? At each level, you have to define all the edge cases possible. Always remember that. It is very, very, very important when you are doing backend engineering. Did I miss something out? Okay, it should be over here. If you simply write timestamps as true, then created at is defined by MongoDB itself. See, I have nowhere put created at in this, but I'm using created at your aggregator, right? So created at is by default given by MongoDB if you set timestamp as true over here. Okay. Simply have module.exports equal to mongoose dot model, the name of the table and the schema. Yes, you can write functions also. You can write functions also. Search how do we write functions. Okay. But just remember you have to validate each and everything going into a database. Your database is the most important thing in your product. You have to have as many conditions in the database level layer itself before any of the checks, right? So that your database is safe from malicious activities, right? Okay, we have covered all the topics for today and we are running out of time also. I hope this class was helpful. You have learned something new. You can find the whole code in the description below. Tomorrow we are going to cover some new topic. I just wanted to cover all these topics today so that from tomorrow we are going to write very good quality code. Right. So these are the topics that I wanted to cover today. The whole code is very, very straightforward. We have created it so many times. The get, post, put, delete, the CRUD operations and all those things. You can find the whole code below in the description. These were the topics that I wanted to cover today. Right? I hope that is helpful and you learned something new today. Right? I will find you in the Mahasabha VC. Peace.